Hi, welcome to another video. So, there's some pretty major news about GitHub, the absolute giant of code hosting and collaboration, is no longer going to be an independent company. If you remember, Microsoft bought GitHub back in 2018 for a whopping $7.5 billion. But up until now, GitHub has still been operating as its own separate thing. That's all changing. And it's honestly a huge shift for anyone who writes code, manages repos, or just cares about where the future of software development is headed. The core of it is this. After the resignation of Github CEO Thomas Dohmke, Microsoft is officially dissolving GitHub as an independent entity and folding it right into their CoreAI team. That means no more standalone GitHub leadership, no more company within a company structure. It's just straight up part of Microsoft now. But the best part, or maybe the wildest part, depending on how you look at it, is that this is all happening as AI is taking over pretty much everything about coding. Now, let me show you how this is playing out, and as we go, I'll also point out what makes this move so different from anything we've seen before. Let's start with the official word. In his farewell note, Thomas Dohmke said, GitHub and its leadership team will continue its mission as part of Microsoft's CoreAI organization, with more details shared soon. I'll be staying through the end of 2025 to help guide the transition, and am leaving with a deep sense of pride in everything we've built as a remote-first organization spread around the world. That's a pretty classy exit, but the subtext is clear. GitHub as a separate company is done. And if you look at the reporting from The Verge, they spell it out. Microsoft isn't replacing Dohmke's CEO position, and GitHub will now be fully part of Microsoft instead of being run as a separate entity. So, there's that. Basically, what it does is it moves all of GitHub's operations, leadership, and future development directly under Microsoft's AI engineering umbrella, which is now called CoreAI. This team is led by Jay Parikh, who used to be at Meta, and now he's running this new division that's all about building AI platforms and tools. Parikh actually described his vision as an AI agent factory, which is kinda cool and also a little bit dystopian if you ask me. He said, just like how Bill Gates had this idea of Microsoft being a bunch of software developers building a bunch of software, I want our platform, for any enterprise or any organization, to be able to be the thing they turn into their own agent factory. So, the idea is that GitHub is now a core part of this push to make Microsoft the central hub for AI-driven software development. Let's talk about what this means for developers. First off, GitHub has been on a tear lately. Over 1 billion repos and forks, more than 150 million developers, and a ton of momentum in AI projects. Dohmke pointed out, AI projects have doubled in the last year alone, and our presence in companies of any size is unmatched in the market. That's not bad at all. Plus, GitHub Copilot has gone from just a cool autocomplete tool to a full-on coding assistant with chat, voice, code review, and even app creation features. As Dohmke put it, today, GitHub Copilot is the leader of the most successful and thriving market in the age of AI, with over 20 million users and counting. That's pretty awesome. But, and there's always a but, this move is making a lot of people nervous. If you check out the Hacker News threads, the community is buzzing with concerns. One user said, GitHub will now fall under Microsoft's CoreAI team, which gives some indication of GitHub's purpose and direction going forward. Another pointed out, We could barely convince the reviewers on the last review that using GitHub is okay as long as we take some extra steps. I guess we should prepare to switch to a different platform with the next review. There's definitely a vibe that some folks are thinking about alternatives like GitLab, Gitea, or Forgejo, especially if they're worried about Microsoft using GitHub as a giant AI training set, or focusing too much on AI features at the expense of the core product. And now comes the best part, or the most controversial part, depending on your perspective. By moving GitHub into CoreAI, Microsoft is signaling that the future of GitHub is going to be all about AI. More Copilot, more coding agents, and probably a lot more integration with Microsoft's overall AI platform. Some users are even joking that GitHub is going to become an agent factory, and that all your code is basically going to be training data for Microsoft's AI. There's a quote that sums it up. GitHub may have more value as the largest software training corpus in the world than as a paid VCS, and Microsoft gets to uniquely utilize that as they will have non-rate limited internal APIs and/or dumps to train on. That's a little bit wild if you think about it. So, what's my take? I mean, I liked GitHub as a mostly independent platform, and I think a lot of you guys did too. But honestly, this was probably inevitable. The writing's been on the wall ever since Microsoft started pushing Copilot and integrating more AI into everything. The upside is that GitHub's not going anywhere, and if you love Copilot and all the new AI tooling, you'll probably see even more of it, faster. The downside is that it's now just another piece of the Microsoft machine, and if you're worried about privacy, lock-in, or just want something a little more open, it might be time to check out the alternatives. Still, you can't argue with the scale and the innovation that's happening. That is majorly about it. I thought to share my thoughts about it as well. Please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.